Hello. Actually, I should never say hello again or good morning because I'm not morning and I'm not in hell. So, good day, mate. Good day, mate. What a place that has become, huh? Well, we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about correcting the appearance of the dysfunctional troubles that are emerging. All right. So let me get my gloves on because the sales and marketing pitch for Sheboygan, Wisconsin is over now. And the reality comes out that it does get cold here, and it is not 50 degrees or 60 degrees in the perfect sunshine today. It's actually a little colder than that. I think you can see my breath. Maybe not. All right, I'm good to go. So in a few days here, I figure I'm airing this I'm shooting this video Friday. It's Friday, it's 8 a.m. And I begin my mentor-client schedule today at 10 a.m. and I go through until 3:30 p.m. today. So I've got a pretty booked day. And I'll probably air this on Sunday or Monday, is what I'm saying. In a few days, we will start the Natural Laws, Universal Laws workshop. And so that's going to be an online workshop. If you don't know, the link is below. Maybe check it out. If you've never done our workshops, or if you have done our workshops and you really want to refresh and really get into some of the deeper stuff, that's the place to do it. There'll be plenty of room for one-on-one interaction. It's going to be a pretty small group, I'm imagining, because we're just coming off the back of a live, physical, in-person workshop. So this one will be probably more intimate for you, much more direct interaction with a lot of questioning and activity-based performances that I'll ask you to do, which in my opinion would be my preference for a workshop. So if you've ever wanted to work one-on-one and just work with me direct, well, this is the cost affordable way to really get a lot of time doing that. Even if you are working with me one-on-one, you know, if you really want to maximize your time, you could just jump in this workshop too. So there, that's what we're talking about. And what I'm going to do, as I mentioned before, a little differently, is I'm really going to talk about a fundamental universal law and then ask you to actually do a series of performances and repeat a series of actions over and over again so that you start training those motor skills, getting yourself into the place of alignment, and you start to demonstrate the results so that you want to keep doing that. You're going to see the self-rewarding behavior of alignment. And so I'll talk a little bit about the precursor to that today. So this, as I did last time, I did a pre-workshop warm-up before we had Michael Jaco come out and we did the Spiritual Special Forces Ascended Master Retreat. I will just allow for the floor to be open. I'll allow for God to come through, and I'll just ask that whatever is needed to come through today in preparation for the online event coming up Wednesday nights and Sunday nights, approximately 1.5 to 2 hours each transmission with interaction, with role play. We're going to do some role play. It's going to be a little different. This will be your interaction, your interaction clinic on natural and universal laws, first nature, and original blueprint design. And you'll have to forgive me because I am going to have to adapt to this cold and recognize that I am not cold. I am the expression of harmonious wellness, comfort. The comforter is here. The The Christ is here and never left. So man, as the extension of God's child, can only experience comfort as that reflection. So just bear with me, because I'm tuning myself as you would tune yourself. And so I'm tuning myself into my comfort zone, making the shift necessary so I can access flow state. Otherwise, if I'm discomforting, my human mind is troubled me, then I won't be able to access flow state. So first thing I want to do is let's just talk about some skills training 101. How do you start your day? I'm going to start my day as I've been getting prepared with the kids, getting them to school, things like that. I haven't set my day up yet, so I'm going to do that right now. So first of all, I look into my eyes, safe touch technique. Follow along with me. Let's do this. I intend to release any and all unforgiveness, guilt, and shame now. Now I put my hands together, I hold my hands, and I mentally forgive anyone and anything that comes to mind. So I set you free and you set me free. All ill will has been cleared up between us now and forever. Only good comes to me, only good goes for me. Now I'm doing a sweeping coverall statement for every mental picture that is coming to mind. See, when you set the intention and you move into this step, the mental pictures will come up. I am setting these memories free, so they're no longer binding me to a lower vibration. Now we're talking lowered vibration resistance that propels you into linear logical left brain thinking that disallows the flow state, pure awareness of spirit. Now you put your hands on your heart and confess mentally for any perceived wrongdoing that you either took a part of or you were witness to, or somewhere where you witnessed the perfect order by God's design to be out of alignment through your human, erring, false sense of reality through the material five senses. Okay? Just confess. I confess, Father. All right, now we just cross over, okay? And I'll just have to do this one arm, but you take each arm, cross over. I love, accept, and forgive myself. Very good. Okay, now I'm gonna set up here. I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. Very good. Give yourself some love. Always give yourself some love. Instead of condemning yourself, instead of being critical on yourself, that doesn't work. And I'll tell you why in this transmission. That doesn't work at all. Stop doing that. Just give yourself love. All right, good. All right, now let us go into a quick blissful moment. Slow it down. See, the cold air wants to speed up into the beta brainwaves, but I'm going to disallow that. I'm going to slow it down. Become unattached to the body. All right, put yourself in a ball of white light in your heart center. Imagine yourself surrounded by that ball of white light. Take yourself down in that ball of white light through your feet, down into the earth. Gather up the grounding energies of the earth. Bring yourself back up through your waist, up through and out the top of your head. Keep those eyes closed, eyes looking straight up as if you're looking out the top of your forehead. Go up through the sky, up through the dark and the light, and the dark and the light, and the dark and the light, and go through a thick jelly-like substance called the laws, and go up and around a pink light into the seventh plane, into a magnificent, blissful, relaxed state. And just relax here. And you can mentally repeat after me if you want to set your day. Great and masterful presence which I am, I love and adore thee. I give back unto thee the fullness of all creative love, all wisdom, all passion, all power. And through this power, I render unto thee full capacity to bring into my hands and use the fulfillment of my every desire. I know that thou art ruler over time, place, and space. Therefore thou requirest only now to bring into visible activity thy every perfection. I remain steadfast in this, and I shall not allow my mind to waver, for at last I know that we are one. Okay. Good. All right. I am the wealth, the opulence, the substance, already perfected in my world, of every constructive thing that I can possibly conceive of or desire. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the light that cannot fail. I am of the pure mind of God. I am invincible to all human beliefs. And I am the resurrection and the life in my mind. I am the resurrection and the life in my body. And I am the resurrection and the life in every facet of my world. Father, Mother, God, great masterful presence which I am, forgive me for my mind and all of its contrariness to thee. Forgive me for my human will and all of its disobedience. Father, forgive me for my heart, all of its pains and suffering and longings, for it belongs to thee. It is thine own substance only. Father, forgive me for my body and all of its imperfections, and replace it with thine substance. And Father, forgive me for me, for thou art the only power, presence, mind, and activity, and there is no other. Good. Now just cleanse yourself off in a golden light and bring yourself back down in that ball of white light, down through the top of your head, down through your feet, down into the earth. Gather up the grounding energies and bring yourself back up and come back to full awareness. All right, we're doing good. We're setting ourselves up for victory by pegging ourselves to the principle of one mind, one power, one consciousness that creates one activity. There is no other. There is only good. So steadfast facing thee, there is no evil on thy path. Steadfastly facing thee, there is no matter with its laws. Steadfastly facing thee, there is no sin, sickness, poverty, disease, or death. And steadfastly facing thee, there is no power to injure or harm. And steadfastly facing thee, there is only goodness and divine love that meets every human need. All right, so now we have a proper perspective of how to embrace our day. I of myself can do nothing. It is the Father in me that doeth the works. You see, this is all about relaxing and allowing. Get out of human willfulness and step into the allowing state of being, knowing that God alone governs all creation. Therefore, everything now is perfect in its perfect order. And when we see, feel, and be perfection, we bring ourselves into the alignment of that perfect order and demonstrate the fruit of that knowledge. Because the knowledge of the Father is the repentance process, and the only suffering is ignorance or deficiency or lack of knowledge of the Father. All right, now let's do an ABC break process, and let's set ourselves into the end and bring our transmission into reality here. It is not it. We do not consult with human will and the left brain linear reasoning mind, because it knows only its own limitations and has its own willful agenda. And we want to surrender to the allness of spirit and allow for that divine transmission to come straight through unhindered. So could I allow for just this moment things to be exactly as they are? Yes or no? Either answer is correct. Yes. Could I allow even more for just this moment things to be exactly as they are? Yes or no? Yes. Very good. Now we go to a place of peace. Surrender and drop into a place of peace. Immerse your spiritual senses through your imagination into the allness of spirit, reflecting only its own joy, peace, patience, kindness, meekness, gentleness, faith, love, and put all of your trust into the divine hand itself. Now we witness the end as if we're looking back on it. I am closing the camera down with a smile on my face, praising and thanking you, Father, for delivering the nugget of wisdom that is required at this moment for this particular transmission. I get into the allness of experiencing the feeling of it and the thought of it, because the feelings and the thoughts are what activate the frequency that I will be directing from. Perfect, and we are complete. Now there is a morning routine minus the self-entrainment technique, which I very much highly recommend that you do on your own time, in your own way. And if you really want to dial that in and you really want to scale it and you're not sure how, then go to iamtruth.tv. iamtruth.tv. Okay, so we are in the world, but we are not of the world. What does this mean to you? Do you have a sense of this already after doing this morning setup? Because I'm there already. I know that I'm a spiritual reflection of divinity, and therefore the outer realms of ignorance, suffering, and the envy and strife that come along with it have nothing to do with the true nature of my genuine, authentic life that is reflecting from the one principle, one power, one mind, one activity of the good that we call God. The highest form of good that we can conceptualize is our best way of articulating what we call God. And so that is the divine love itself that brings in all of the fulfillment of all human need. Because there is no human and there is no need. See, once we get rid of the human and we get rid of the idea of need, then we can take no thought for our life and we can be fully surrendered in the natural flow, the flow state of life, directing us according to wisdom and no longer strife, which brings about human willfulness, which brings about unintended consequences at every angle. You see, you can drive yourself in one direction and you can push yourself and you defy universal laws, because when you do this, you bring yourself into arrogance, okay? You point your arrow through the gnosis of the human knowledge and you end up putting your stance in a fallen position of mortality. And you see, because the law of sin, sickness, disease, and death, which is the mortal mind's representation of its own deficiency, is cursed from the beginning, we no longer are under the covenant in that state of being. And so setting up the morning as I have just done has allowed me to go into this flow state and to bring this transmission to you, because I have surrendered myself to the divine, which erects the universal law of freedom. And isn't that what people are looking for today? They are looking for freedom. And you see, they're looking for it to come from some external mortality or consciousness of this world. And you see, we are in this world, but we are not of this world. And so we must go into the realm of supernatural being. And super means above, so we go above the natural carnal mind and we disengage from it altogether, and we trust the most powerful force in the universe. And what comes through us is divine. You see, less of you and more of God. And how you get there is you practice the techniques and you build that energy into the right side of the intuitive brain, away from the left linear, logical, doubting Thomas mind, and you allow yourself to come into full awareness within this moment without any self-doubt whatsoever, because that is nothing more than an ego-projected arrogance. And you see, when you stop doubting God, when you stop doubting that you are the reflection of God, and when you stop doubting that there is only one mind, God's mind, which brings about only one activity, divine love, which manifests as only one thing, absolute perfection in all of its substance, and you start living, moving, and having your being in that substance, you begin to walk in the path of miracles. And you see, that's when you are set free from poverty. That's when you are set free from sickness. That is when you are set free from the arrogance that is pointed at you from the directive of other mortals, because you no longer live in a world filled with mortals. You have risen to the consciousness of the immortality by recognition that there was never another manifest that came into being other than God's substance, the one living man, the one being, the one body of Christ. And you are in that body. So all is perfect. All is perfect now. You see, and I put my focus on that idea, and I have repented to the Father by turning my thought away from the things of this world to the ideas of God, and I come to a place of rest in my heart. To rest in peace means to be dead to the world and alive in spirit, and that's why they have tricked you and told you that the tombstone, RIP, is the end of life, when it actually is the beginning of life. The beginning of life is when you set yours down to gain your true life, as Jesus said. And that is what we will talk about in the Universal Laws Clinic and Workshop. So please, if you like this and you want to be able to access this flow, and you want to be able to take yourself into the realm of all possibilities and give yourself the miracle of freedom that is inherent in your own beingness, then the link is below. So there, I'm going to shut it down now. And that was just an example of how I set up my day. I hope you came along with me. And every time you do this, through repetition, repetitioning the mind, you're shifting the energy from the left to the right. And you are taking yourself into the now space in a fully surrendered pure awareness position where the divine will come through you. And that divine knowledge is what brings the light to every asset within you, that brings about all of the fulcrum of power through the proper use of free will into the alignment of the fruits of the Spirit. And then you reflect what God knows to be true, and it is the end of the nightmare that you call the living, breathing, mortal flesh meat suit. To be absent from the body and present from the Lord is a state of dying to the world's knowledge and being risen in the Christ. That is the transmission of truth that comes to you when you are surrendered to it. You see, take it in. Don't try to think about it. Just take it in. The less you think, the better this is going to go for you. Trust this moment, because it is the only moment. Therefore, it is perfect, and it can be no other. And rejoice and give thanks to the Lord. Instead of worrying, rejoice and give thanks to the Lord. Instead of doubting, let go and flow. Instead of fearing, revere the Lord. Change your attitude towards your life, and your life will reflect the divine life, and you will walk away from the sin of identifying as immortal. That's it for today, folks. Selah.